Good morning, Ms. Capela. Well, you and I have never met before, is that true?
Sure.
And I'll just remind you, if you can, keep your voice up.
Yeah.
To compete with the loud fan. And then the court reporter needs you to say either yes or no. She can't get a head nod or things like that, okay? So you talked to us a little bit on Friday, and I want to ask you a few questions about that, okay? I'm going to use some of the same exhibits that you've seen so far, and I may use some exhibits that you haven't seen so far.
Okay.
Yeah, first, please.
You may, thank you.
I am going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 1. Do you have got that pointer there beside you? Just reorient us if you would quickly. Do you see the red mark on the exhibit behind you?
Yes.
And whose house is that?
Tyler Rich's.
Okay. And you were at Tyler Rich's house on May 14th, correct? And you were there with, well, you drove yourself, you told us,
Yes.
right? But you met up there with your boyfriend, Matthew Lockovich, at the time.
Yes.
Okay. And you told us that you'd been to this house previously, right?
Yes.
In fact, you'd been to this house many times previously, right?
A handful of times, yeah.
A handful of times. Okay. Well, you told us that you had grown up essentially when you were younger, and were friends with this group of kids that were at Tyler Rich's house, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you told us that there were about 20 to 25 people that were there when you got there.
Yeah.
And you described what a number of witnesses have described, which is going into the house through the side and what are Bilco doors, right?
Yes.
And just in case there's anybody like me who didn't know what those were before, will you tell us what a Bilco door is?
They're just doors, like, slanted, and you open them, and there's stairs that go downstairs.
Gotcha. So they're not umbilical doors, right?
No.
They're not Belco doors, right?
No.
They're Bilco doors because that's the name of the manufacturer that makes them?
I'm not sure about the manufacturer, but
Okay, but you know them as Bilco doors.
yeah.
Okay. And they led down into the basement, right?
Yeah.
And when you got down there into the basement, you told us there was maybe 20 to 25 people there, right?
Yes.
And among those folks that were there were your boyfriend, Matthew Lockovich, right?
Yes.
Tyler Rich, the owner of the house,
Yes.
right? Enrico or Ricky Fiola, right?
Yes.
How did you know Ricky Fiola?
We're in the same friend group.
Okay. Did he also attend the same high school as you?
Yes.
Was he in your grade?
Yes.
And you were a junior at this time, correct?
Rising senior, yes.
Okay. So you graduated the following year.
Yes.
And you also told us that you saw Faison Teal there.
Yes.
And there was a Lily, but I didn't catch her last name. What was
Lily
her name?
Lombardi.
Lombardi. And how did you know Lily?
I grew up with her.
And you told us that you also saw Jimmy McGrath there, right?
Yes.
And that he was a friend of yours from when you were younger, right?
Yes.
That your parents were friends and you were also friends with his sister Rosie.
Yes.
And so you'd known them from being a young child.
Yes.
You didn't go to school with him anymore because he was going to Fairfield Prep.
Correct.
And you identified a picture of him over at Nikki DeJesus's house, right?
Yes.
He was playing pool.
Yeah.
And he was wearing the same outfit that he was wearing later on that evening at this party at Tyler Rich's,
Yeah.
right? And you told us that there was drinking going on at Tyler Rich's house, correct?
Correct.
And that you had had maybe one beer or seltzer, right?
Correct.
And you said that was nothing out of the ordinary, but there were maybe more people there than usual, right?
Correct.
And you noted that they were mostly older kids?
Yeah. I'm a year below them, so, and Tyler Rich is a year above me, so it was majority his friends and maybe a year above him as well.
Okay. So there were some seniors there?
Correct.
And there were some kids that had already graduated, correct?
Correct.
And that was the majority of the kids that were there.
Correct.
And these were all kids, for the most part, that were on the Shelton High football team?
Yeah, I would say.
Did you also play any sports at
I
Shelton?
played softball for 2 years in high school.
Okay.
That was it.
But this wasn't a Shelton High
No.
softball party, right?
No.
And then you said a little bit later you saw two other people, Griffin Marcinzik and Ryan Hines, right?
Yeah.
And how did you know Griffin Marcinzik?
We went to high school together. I would hang out with him on occasion.
And he was a younger kid, right? And then you also told us that you saw Ryan Hines, right?
Yeah.
And he was also a younger kid, right?
Yeah.
And you told us that they had been brought there by Charlie Connery, right?
Yeah.
And that he had left the party, in fact, to go and pick them up, right?
Yeah, that I'm aware of.
After people downstairs were talking about a fight that had occurred previously, right? And as far as you knew, that's why they were coming over there, right?
Yeah.
And then you told us that at some point you had gone outside because it was hot downstairs in the basement.
Correct.
And then you were already outside, you said, with Matthew Lockovich and some others. Do you remember who those others were?
I don't. It was just group outside.
Okay. And this group, were there any other girls in this group?
I'm not sure who exactly. I just know there were people outside.
And do you remember how many people were outside?
Not many. I'd say like maybe 6 people outside.
Okay. I'm going to show you another exhibit. May I approach you on?
Yes. Thank you.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State 52. Now, on States 52, can you point out to us where you were using that pointer that's beside you when you were outside and it was hot and you were with these 6 other folks?
So I was standing in front of the door, the cellar doors at that point.
Okay, so we can't see it
Right.
on this, correct? Okay. And outside that evening, it was dark, you told us?
Yeah.
There were some lights on the house?
Yeah.
There were also some folks with, well, not at this point, withdrawn. It was rainy that night.
I don't remember the weather.
Do you recall any misting, any sort of drizzle or anything like that?
Don't.
Okay. And when you were out there, you told us that you saw a car drive by, right?
Yeah.
What was that car doing when you saw it drive by?
It was just driving down the street at that point.
Was it driving past you on Laurel Glen Drive, or did it drive past you up Adams?
Down Laurel Glen Drive.
Okay. So it came by Laurel Glen Drive, didn't do anything. Did you watch it go further down the street?
I just watched it drive by.
Okay. Did any of the people that you were with seem to notice that car come?
I think so.
And what did they do when they noticed that car go by?
I think people just went to the front.
They moved up to the front of the lawn?
There were
you mean?
people in the front, and then some of the people that were near me were walking towards the front.
Okay. So the group moved closer to the road at that point,
Yeah.
following this car?
Not following the car, moving to the front yard.
And you said that Ricky Fiola and Tyler Rich went up to the front of the yard, right?
Yeah.
And do you remember anybody else who went up to the front of the yard?
I don't.
Did Matthew Lockovich go up to the front of the yard?
Possibly. I'm not sure.
And you said that, and so at some point, did the car come back?
Yeah.
And when it came back, which way was it facing?
It was facing towards, I think it's
Would it help you if I
farmhouse, I believe. Is that the
Towards
street at the end?
would it help if I showed you the other exhibit? So let's orient ourselves. You've described the car coming by and going down Laurel Glen towards Farmhouse,
Yes.
right? And now you say the car came back at some point.
Correct.
Okay. When it came back, which way was it facing?
Towards farmhouse.
So it came back from Farmhouse and then it was facing towards Farmhouse?
I don't know if they turned around or went around the like. If you go down farmhouse and go down the other street back on Adams, it'll make like a square. So I don't know if they turned around or what they did. But yeah.
Did you see them coming back from Farmhouse up Laurel Glen?
No, they came from Adams and went down Laurel. Or I'm assuming that's what they did because when they came to Laurel Glen, they went down the street towards farmhouse again.
Okay. And you say that they came to a stop in front of the house?
Yeah.
I'm going to put the other exhibit back up there. And at this point, you said that the Honda Pilot stopped, right?
Yeah.
And when it pulled up, where was it located?
I'd say like right here.
Right there by the curb?
Yeah.
Not across the street?
No.
Not by the mailbox?
No.
And were you still standing back by the Bilco doors?
I had walked up a little more at that point.
Where were you standing at that point?
Right here.
Okay. Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has pointed to the shaded area by the tree line and the rear driver's side of the black truck that's parked in the driveway on the exhibit.
Order will allow the record to reflect that information. Thank you.
And at that point, were other people coming out of the house?
Coming out of the house, I'm not sure. It was the people that were outside that I saw previously.
Do you remember whether any other people came out of the house?
I don't remember.
Did anybody pass you?
Yeah, I think a couple people maybe.
Okay, and did those people appear to be coming from behind you?
Yeah.
And behind you at this point is where the house was, correct?
Right.
And a few people, you say. How many people do you recall passing you?
3 maybe.
Just 3?
Yeah.
And could you see Matthew Lockovich at that point?
He was standing with me, yeah.
He was standing beside you. What was he doing?
The same thing I was doing, standing there.
And was he saying anything?
I think we were just watching.
Okay. And you're both standing in that same area?
Yeah.
And do you recall anybody else that was standing with you and Matthew Lockovich?
No, I don't.
Do you recall seeing Jimmy McGrath at that point?
I think he was inside at that point.
So you don't recall seeing him?
No.
Do you recall seeing Tyler Rich?
Yeah.
Where was he?
In the front yard?
In the front yard by the curb?
Yeah.
Had he approached the car?
No, so he was probably like where that green tree is.
Okay.
This tree.
Okay. Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has pointed to the sole green tree directly in the middle of the exhibit.
Or it will allow the record to reflect that.
And who else was with Tyler Rich at that point?
I think it was just Ricky. I didn't see anyone else.
Just Tyler and Ricky?
Yeah,
So
that I
just two
remember.
of them in that spot?
That I remember, yeah.
Was anybody else there?
I think there was other people around, but I don't remember who exactly.
And how many other people do you think were there?
I really don't remember.
Okay. Did you see Face on Teal?
No, not at that point.
Did you see Tommy Connery?
No,
Did you see Mike Samperi?
no,
Did you see Sal Perry?
I don't remember. I really don't remember who was at the car.
Did you see Jacob Villalobos?
Not at that point, no.
Did you see Nikki DeJesus?
Not at that point, no.
Did you see Ty Wood?
No, not at that point.
Did you see Tanner Chernowski?
Not at that point.
And so you've got yourself and Matthew Lockovich standing. At this point, you remained in that same spot?
Yep.
Did you ever move from that spot?
To go back inside.
Did you ever get any closer to the vehicle?
No.
Did Matthew Lockovich ever get any closer to the vehicle?
I don't think so.
Did you see Ryan Hines?
No, not at that point.
Did you see Griffin Marcinzik?
Not at that point.
And so you've said that you saw just Tyler Rich and Ricky Fiola approaching the vehicle.
That I remember, yes.
Okay. And what did they do as they approached the vehicle?
I don't remember them approaching the vehicle. I remember being them in the front yard walking towards the car, and a bunch of other people were in the front. Or I wouldn't say a bunch, but a couple people were in the front. And when they were getting closer to the car is when I went inside.
Okay. Did you ever at any point hear them getting loud?
No.
Did you hear any banging?
No, I heard things being thrown from both sides, but then I went inside.
You say you heard things being thrown from both sides.
Yeah.
How could you hear something being thrown from both sides?
You can hear, I'd say a can, like hitting the ground, like the driveway, you could hear it hitting. You can hear something hit the car.
Okay. But you didn't hear any yelling or anything aggressive before that?
I don't remember exactly if they were yelling or not, but I just remember things being thrown.
So you heard things getting thrown. Did you see anybody surround the car?
No.
Was Matthew Lokovich beside you the whole time?
No.
Where did he go?
I think he stayed outside. I went inside.
And so by the time you went inside, you hadn't heard any yelling,
No, not that I remember.
you hadn't heard any screaming,
No.
you hadn't heard any curses,
No.
you hadn't heard any threats being made,
No.
you didn't see anybody touch the car,
No.
you didn't see anybody other than Tyler Rich and Ricky Fiola near the car,
Correct.
but they weren't touching the car.
No.
You didn't see them throw anything at the car.
No.
You didn't see anybody get out of the car.
No.
And so then you turned around and went back inside.
Correct.
And who was inside when you went back inside?
Then I was with my friend Lily, Michaela Holton. Jimmy was down there. Izzy Silvis. I was just standing with those girls.
Before you went back inside, I think you told us on Friday that that you could see flashlights.
Yeah.
And when you say flashlights, do you mean on a phone? So you could see people with their phones already out and their flashlights on?
You could see lights, so I was assuming it was coming from their phones, yes.
And how many did you see?
A couple.
A couple. And you said that at some point you became aware that people were going back outside.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you become aware that people were going back outside?
I saw people going outside, and then people were talking about it.
Let's break that down a little bit. When you went back inside, did you go sit down somewhere?
I think I just stood right by the door, the stairs to go outside.
So at the bottom of the stairs? Do you remember anybody that was down there at the bottom of the stairs with you?
At that point, Jimmy was down there.
Jimmy was down there at the bottom of the stairs with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
I was just talking to him, so I didn't really check around who was around me.
And you said you became aware because people started going back outside. They were passing you to get up the stairs? How many people went past you?
I'm not sure.
Were you the last one to go back outside?
No, I think there were people behind me.
Did everybody empty out of the basement?
No,
How do you know that?
because when I was leaving, there were still people down there.
How do you know that they didn't come out after you?
I mean, they could have. But
So you're not sure.
I'm not sure.
Did Jimmy go back outside with you?
I don't know.
So you're talking to him down at the bottom of the stairs, and you don't know whether or not he went back outside with you.
No.
And you said when you went back outside that people started walking up the street towards Farmhouse Lane?
Right.
And did you see a vehicle down there?
Yeah.
What vehicle did you understand that to be?
It was the Honda Pilot.
And the Honda Pilot, that's the car that had pulled up before, correct? Had you seen who was inside the vehicle at that point?
No.
And you said the people started walking up the street, right?
Yeah.
Did you see anybody running up the street?
No.
Did you hear anybody yelling as they were going down the street? Did you see anybody throwing anything as they were going down the street?
No.
How many people did you see going down the street?
They were already down towards Farmhouse by the time I started walking outside. So there were people just standing up there, and then there were people sitting on the curb. There were a couple people sitting on the curb.
Okay. And you said that of these people that were walking up the street, one of them that you identified for us was Tyler Rich, right?
Yep.
Matthew Lokovich.
Yeah.
Ricky Fiola.
Yeah.
Did you see Ryan Hines go up the street?
No.
Did you see Griffin Marcinzik go up the street?
No.
Did you see Jimmy McGrath go up the street?
No.
Did you see Jimmy McGrath when you were outside?
No.
Did you see Michael Samperi go up the street?
No.
Jacob Villalobos?
No.
The only three people that you can identify who walked up the street were Tyler Rich, Matthew Lokovich, and Ricky Fiola.
Yes.
Did you see Faison Teal at that point?
No.
And you told us you didn't hear any screaming,
No.
didn't hear any yelling,
No.
didn't see or hear anything being thrown.
No.
And you said that you yourself walked up the street at that point, right?
Correct.
about a quarter of the way down towards Laurel Glen Drive, right?
Towards farmhouse.
Towards Farmhouse,
Yeah.
on Laurel Glen
Yep.
Drive.
Yep.
And was anybody else walking with you?
No.
And you said at that point you could see a car parked about 3/4 of the way down Laurel Glen Drive towards Farmhouse Lane.
Yes.
And you said you saw some people standing there, correct?
Yeah.
Could you identify who those people were?
No, I was far back.
You didn't see anyone running after the vehicle?
No.
And you watched exhibit number 44, that was the ring video from across
Yeah.
the street. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
But you told us that you didn't see anything that had shown.
No.
You told us you spent about 30 seconds down the street, correct?
I'd say a couple seconds. Definitely not 30 seconds.
Okay. A couple seconds. You spent a couple seconds down the street. Were you with anybody during that time?
No.
Just by yourself?
Yep.
And then you turned around and went back to Tyler Rich's house.
Yes.
And you said when you went back inside, everyone was in the basement.
Right.
But not Ricky Fiola,
Correct. So not everybody.
not Tyler Rich, not Matthew Lockovich.
Correct.
Was Jimmy McGrath in the basement?
Yeah.
Was Ryan Hines in the basement?
I don't know.
Griffin Marcinsic?
I'm not sure.
Faison Teal?
I believe Faison was in there.
Where did you see Faison?
I think he was on the couch, if I'm not mistaken.
Who was sitting with him on the couch?
I don't remember.
Did you see Tommy Connery?
I don't remember.
Charlie Connery?
I don't remember.
Jacob Villalobos?
I'm not sure.
Alex Bernson?
No, I didn't see him.
Tyler Chernowski?
Who?
Tyler Chernowski?
Tanner Chernow?
Tanner Chernowski.
I'm not sure.
You said Ricky Fiola and Tyler Rich, those are Matthew Lockovich's friends, right?
Correct.
And you did tell us that also in the basement was Lily Lombardi,
Yep.
Izzy Silvis,
Yep.
and Michaela Hulton, right?
Yes.
So you do remember that they were there as well?
Yeah.
And you're certain that Jimmy McGrath was down there?
Yeah.
And you told us you thought something bad was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
That everyone was going on about it, right?
I wouldn't say going on about it, but there was discussion about it.
Well, how would you describe that discussion about it?
Just talking, just like.
Calmly, like you and I are?
Yep.
Just talking about what had happened out front?
Correct.
And how were they describing what had happened out front?
I don't remember exactly what they were saying.
Did you hear any talk about wanting to fight the kids?
No.
Did you hear any talk about wanting payback?
No.
But you thought something bad was going to happen?
Yeah.
And you told us that you talked to Matthew Lockovich and Jimmy McGrath to stay out of it.
Correct.
So at some point, Matthew Lockovich came back inside?
Correct.
So now he's down in the basement too?
Correct.
When did he come back to the basement?
I'm not sure.
And you told us you knew that Jimmy McGrath wouldn't get involved.
Yeah.
But Matthew Lockovich, if his friends were involved, he wouldn't just stand by.
Correct.
Were Matthew and Jimmy talking calmly about it as well?
They weren't even talking about it.
They weren't even talking about it. And then you told us that you walked back out the Bilko doors.
Correct.
How many other people went out with you when you went out the Bilko doors?
I'm not sure how many people.
And did everybody go out in a group?
I feel like everyone went out in parts. There wasn't just a whole group walking up there.
Did they all casually walk out?
Yeah.
Nobody was running to get outside?
Not that I saw.
And then you described going out back into the front yard after you walked through the Bilko doors. When you came back out, now this is the second time you've gone out into the front yard, right?
No, this would be the third time I went outside.
Okay. This is the third time that you went out into the front yard. Where did you stand this time? Could you show us on the exhibit?
I'd say like right over here.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has pointed to the front of the black truck that is parked in the driveway in between the black truck and the red bush that is parallel to it.
Court will allow the record to so reflect. Thank you.
You're standing there. Who do you see in front of you?
Directly in front of me
Yes.
would be Jimmy and Charlie at that point.
Can you point out where they are on the exhibit?
Right over here.
Okay. So they're not directly in front of you. I'm sorry?
Diagonal.
Diagonal from you. How many feet away were they standing?
Maybe like from me to, I'd say like if the TV was a little farther back and I was standing a little farther back.
Okay, so would you say from the wall of behind you
To the
to the TV?
Yep.
Okay. And so you could see Jimmy, and who was standing beside Jimmy?
Charlie Connery.
They were standing side by side?
Yep.
Who else could you identify as being there?
Matlock.
Where was Matt Locke standing?
He was moving around, so towards the end he was near Jimmy.
And when we say Matt Locke, we're not talking
Matthew
about
Yankovic.
Okay. Not the attorney played by Andy Griffith.
No, I'm not aware of who that is.
don't know who that is.
I have no idea.
All right, so you say Matt was moving around.
Yeah.
When you first got outside, where was Matt?
I'm not sure.
You couldn't see him.
No.
Was there anybody that was up there by the red bush and the tree line where the shade is, where you had been earlier?
Near the truck, is that what you're talking about?
Right, when you described having been out there earlier. By
I'm not sure if anyone was standing up there.
You didn't see anybody up there?
No, not that I know.
Everybody was down closer to the front part of the grass at that point?
Yeah, some people were in the driveway. Maybe some people could have been back there, but I wasn't turning around to look.
Did you see Ryan Hines anywhere?
No.
Did you see Faison Teal?
At the end, I saw Faison.
Did you see him when you first came out?
No.
And you've described that Jimmy McGrath and Charlie Connery were up closer to the curb.
Yeah.
Did you see the vehicle, the Honda Pilot that you had described before? Where was that?
Parked. I would say like right here, maybe.
Now, there were, may the record reflect, Your Honor, that the witness has pointed on the exhibit to an area beside the mailbox.
Court will go ahead and reflect that on the record. Thank you.
And there were other cars parked in the road too, right?
Yeah.
Both sides of the road?
Yes.
Do you recall whether or not it was raining or misty at this point?
I don't.
Did you see people with their phones out and the lights on?
Yes.
And were there just Jimmy and Charlie standing in the front of the yard?
I think there was more people, but I don't remember who exactly.
Did you see Tyler Rich?
Yes.
Where was he?
I think he was closer to the, like near the red bush, but towards the center a little bit.
Okay.
I'd say like. Maybe like over here, but this tree was in here, so I'd say like maybe over here.
Close to Jimmy and Charlie?
No.
And you told us that you saw Tyler De Silva get out of the vehicle?
I didn't see them get out of the vehicle.
You didn't see them get out of the vehicle.
When I had walked up, the fight was already going on.
Okay. You told us on Friday, though, that you'd seen them run up onto the grass.
I would assume that they ran up onto the grass.
Oh.
I did not see that.
You didn't see them run up onto the grass. So when you came out, the fight was already going on?
Yeah.
And who was fighting at that point?
Tyler Da Silva and Lido and Tyler Rich, or maybe Alex Bernstein, I'm not sure.
You've seen video of this fight, correct?
Yeah,
And how many times have you seen that video?
a couple times.
Just a couple?
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw that video?
The last time I spoke with the state attorney, so when was that? I'm not sure exactly what date that was. It'd be a couple weeks ago.
In anticipation of coming in here to testify? So when you say you would assume that they ran up onto the grass, that's not something that you actually saw. You don't know if these two people walked up onto the grass or not.
Correct.
But you did tell us that at one point Tyler Da Silva was by the red bush
Correct.
and that Mr. Valle was behind him and closer to the road.
Correct.
You said a bunch of you were just standing there watching, right?
Correct.
Who was just standing there watching?
Me, Michaela Holton, or that I'm aware of. Everyone was kind of just standing around, so I'm not sure.
You said by the end that Matt Lockovich was standing by Jimmy.
Correct.
Do you recall, was Matt wearing a shirt?
No, he wasn't.
Do you recall when he took that shirt off?
I don't know.
Had he had it on earlier when you were standing outside with him?
Yeah, I believe so.
You told us on Friday that Alex Bernstein at this point was near Tyler Da Silva, but you weren't quite sure about that?
Correct.
And you described it as being a chaotic scene, right?
Correct.
Everyone was everywhere, you said.
Correct.
But there were only a couple of kids fighting, and most of them were watching, was your recollection?
Correct.
And now you tell us that you were watching, correct? Michaela Holton was standing beside you. She was watching.
Correct.
Did either of you have your phones out?
No.
And who else was watching at that point?
I know Jimmy was watching. I'm really not sure who else.
When you say you know Jimmy was watching,
Yeah.
how do you know Jimmy was watching?
Because I was staring at him.
You were staring at him.
Yeah.
And he was standing in one place
Yeah.
the whole time?
About the same area, at least.
Okay. The same area. So he wasn't standing in one place the whole time.
He wasn't just standing still. I'd say, like, moving, but he didn't leave that vicinity over there.
When you say that vicinity, can you show us where he never left?
I'd say like right over here. Just stayed in that area.
Okay. You never saw him throw any punches?
No.
You never saw him throw any kicks?
No.
You never saw him even get close enough to do so?
No.
Was there anyone blocking your view of Jimmy?
No.
When you're standing there watching, could you identify where Tyler Da Silva was?
No, not when I was looking at Jimmy, no.
At any point, did you see Tyler Da Silva involved in the fight on the lawn?
Yeah.
Okay, where was he? Could you point out for us?
Tyler Da Silva?
Tyler Da Silva.
I'd say he was closer to the red bush.
Closer to the red bush?
Yeah.
And how many people was he fighting with?
It looked like one that I knew of for sure.
Looked like one. Do you remember who that was?
No, not really. I couldn't really see.
And could you see Mr. Valle at any point?
He was behind Tyler, so I couldn't see him until later.
Okay, so you couldn't see where Mr. Valle was.
He
the
knew
fight
he
was
was
going
behind
on?
Tyler Da Silva, so he was closer to the curb, but I couldn't see him, like, fighting.
And then you said you recall hearing someone say he has a knife. He has a knife.
Correct.
Do you know who that was that said that?
Charlie Connery?
How do you know that?
Because I know Charlie's voice.
Okay. And so that night, you recall hearing him say that he has a knife. He has a knife.
Correct.
And you told us you thought, oh my God, what's going on?
Correct.
And then a couple seconds later, you saw Mr. Valle near Jimmy McGrath.
Correct.
And Jimmy McGrath, he was still in that same place. He hadn't moved.
Correct.
And was there anybody else near Mr. Valle?
At the time that he was near Jimmy,
Yes.
I think Matt and Charlie were near him.
Where were they?
I'm not sure. I know Charlie was on, I don't know what side Charlie was on, but I know Charlie was near him, and I know Matt had walked by him at that point.
Was Mr. McGrath's back to you, or was he facing you?
He was like, at what point are you talking about?
When you saw him and he was near Mr. Valle.
When the defendant was lunging at him?
When the first time that you saw him was, and you've described watching Mr. McGrath, was he facing you, or were you looking at his back?
He was facing me.
Mr. McGrath was facing you?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you see Will Berardi?
No, I don't recall seeing him.
Did you see Matt Lakovich?
Yeah.
And where was he in relation to Mr. Valle?
Close to him.
How close?
I'm not sure the exact distance.
Could you see his face, or could you see his back?
I think it was his, I'm actually not sure. I can't.
And what did you see him doing?
He was just walking by him at that point.
Just walking by him? And what was Charlie doing?
Charlie was just standing there, I think, just next to him.
And you told us that you could see Mr. Valle lunge towards Mr. McGrath,
Correct.
and that he stayed there, that's Mr. McGrath, for about 2 seconds.
What was that? Sorry?
You said you saw him stay there for about 2 seconds, Mr. McGrath?
Stay there for 2 seconds. I'm not sure what you're referring to.
After you saw the lunge?
Yeah, yeah.
And at that point, was it just Mr. Valle and Mr. McGrath, face to face?
When I was looking, yeah.
There was nobody else near them?
No, not that.
No, no other people around them or behind Mr.
Probably
Valle?
like on the sides, like where everyone was standing, but not like directly next to them, no.
And you told us you didn't see a knife, is that right?
Correct.
And that you were first aware that Tommy Connery had been injured, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't see anyone else at that point?
No.
But you later learned of the others?
Correct.
Did you see Ryan Hines at all during the fight?
No.
Did you see Tyler Rich at all during the fight?
Here and there, not. I wasn't really focused on him.
Did you see Jacob Villalobos at all during the fight?
Yeah.
What was Jacob Villalobos doing during the fight?
I only saw Jacob push Tyler into the road.
You also told us that you saw somebody push Mr. Valle into the road, into a car at one point, right?
No, he walked to the car.
He walked to the car?
Yeah.
Do you recall speaking with officers about this in May, about a week after the events on May 23rd?
Yeah.
And you went down to the Shelton Police Department with your sister?
Yeah.
And you don't recall telling them that it was just a big brawl and Tyler Rich at one point pushed Raul Valle into the car?
They were wearing similar colors at that point, so when I looked, it looked like the defendant. And I think back to it, Tyler De Silva had a jersey on, so that's how I could tell the difference.
Okay. So you're backing off of that earlier description. Now Tyler Rich did not push Mr. Valle into the car.
Not that I recall now, no, I'm not sure.
And you said that you could see him go to the vehicle.
Yeah.
You were watching him at that point?
Yeah, because Jimmy was right there. So when I was looking at Jimmy, he was behind him.
So Jimmy was still standing in the same spot the whole time,
Yeah.
and you could see Mr. Valle at the vehicle.
Yeah.
What did you see him do at the vehicle?
He just opened the door and came back.
You would agree that's the same thing that happens in the video, correct?
Correct.
Are you sure that you're telling us of what you remember that night or what you saw watching the video?
No, I'm positive I'm telling you what I saw.
And again, what you remember is that Jimmy was not involved in the fight at all, right?
I know that for a fact.
You know that for a fact. How do you know that for a fact?
Because I know he was not involved in the fight.
And then you told us you saw Mr. Valle come back onto the grass, correct?
Correct.
You said he slipped,
It looked like a slip. I don't know what happened.
then he turns and he spins to his left,
Correct.
and he takes his arm, and you see him do this, his right arm, this
Correct.
upward motion
Correct.
into Mr. McGrath.
Correct.
And at that point, you would agree Mr. McGrath's back was to you.
No, not his back.
Well, can you tell us what you saw, what your view
I would
was?
say he was standing up like this, so it was like to the side angle.
Okay. And was there anybody else around Mr. McGrath and Mr. Valle at that point?
No, not that I recall.
They were isolated, just the two
Yeah.
of them. Did you see Mr. De Silva at that point?
No.
And then you told us on Friday that you are studying right now a criminal justice program.
Yeah.
Was part of the inspiration for doing that what you were involved with on that evening?
I would say, yeah.
And that's being involved that evening. Has that motivated you to see someone held responsible for this?
Sure.
May we see State's Exhibit 60? Can we watch that? Do we have it? Sorry. Okay, I'm going to ask you to watch this video with us.
What's the exhibit number, please?
I'm sorry, State's Exhibit 60?
60.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir! Come on, let's do it again.
You've seen that video before, Ms. Capela?
Yes.
And I don't do this to be gratuitous. I apologize. I recognize it's not easy for you to do to watch that. But I do think we need to break it down just a little bit. Do you know who was filming that?
Not at that time, I didn't know.
Have you since come to learn that it was Tanner Chernowski?
Correct.
Do you remember seeing Tanner Chernowski that evening?
Here and there, I don't really think I was with him a lot.
And do you remember seeing him film that evening?
No.
So when he was filming this, you don't recall seeing him walking around with his phone out?
No.
And where were you standing when that scene was going on that we just watched there?
Right where I pointed out before.
By the truck, by the front of the truck?
Yeah.
You hadn't moved at that point?
No.
All right. Your Honor, at this point, I have what I would like to have marked as Defendant's Exhibit B for ID purposes. However, I understand I've shown it to the state, and I understand that there's no objection to this.
I'll hear from the state.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'd ask that it be marked as a full exhibit.
All right, court will accept into evidence defendant's 2 full exhibit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Your Honor, may the record reflect I've given the clerk a envelope. He's marked it as defense exhibit B. He's looked inside and see there's nothing else.
Well, for clarification of the record, it's defendant's B, not 2. Thank you.
So I'm going to show you what's been marked as defense exhibit B. This is a frame by frame of that same video that we just watched.
Okay.
We had some trouble going through it slower earlier, so we just broke it down to frame by frame.
Okay.
All right. All right. And so this is defense exhibit B. And we're starting here at frame 0. Okay? Now, in this video here, this frame 0 that we see, do you see a person? I'm going to point up here. Do you see a person right here with what appears to be a light blue jersey of some sort on?
Yeah.
And you can also see it there if it's easier
Yeah.
for you on there. Do you see that person?
Yeah.
Do you know who that person is?
It's really blurry. I can't tell.
Fair enough. And do you see to the right in front of that person someone wearing black shorts and a green top?
Yeah.
Do you know who that person is?
Again, it's blurry. I can't tell.
Okay. And do you see just to the right of that person in the black shorts and the green top someone wearing lighter colored shorts and a dark top
Yeah.
with some sort of graphic on the back?
Yeah.
We're going to scoot ahead 1, 2 frames. And again, do you still see these same figures there on the screen?
Yeah.
And do you see that now beside the person that was on the right of the screen wearing lighter shorts and a dark top, that there is another person that is emerging wearing a similar outfit?
No, I'm sorry. I don't see that.
Let me move it forward for you a little bit. Do you see now in frame 6 that there is another person wearing light bottom and a dark top that has emerged beside that other person?
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
On mine, I can't even tell. They look like people, so no, I can't tell who that is. Like right here, on this screen, I can't even tell that it's a person.
Can you see legs?
I can see legs, but that's it.
Would you agree that that's indicative of a person?
Yeah, on mine, it just looks like blurs.
Okay. And can you still see those same figures to the right of the screen on frame 8?
Yeah.
Do you see Matthew Lokovich anywhere here?
Not that I see, no.
And again, at frame 10, to the far right of the screen, do you see that there are at least now 2 people closest to the right edge of the frame wearing these lighter bottoms, dark tops that appear to have some graphic on the back?
Yeah.
Do you know, you couldn't identify who those people were?
No.
And here we are in frame 13, do you see those same two folks to the right of the screen?
Yeah.
And here we are at frame 19. And to the right edge of the screen, can you see that those two figures, can you see their legs?
Yeah, a little.
And as we get further, along here, can you still see the legs of those two figures?
Yeah.
We are at frame 22 at this point. I'm sorry, I have to keep dropping it down. Do you see the first of those two figures here in frame 23? Can you see his legs?
Yeah.
Can you see his right leg?
Which one?
Can you see the one leg that appears to be back behind the others?
Yeah.
And here we are at frame 27. Can you see that leg being drawn back and now you can see the foot?
Yeah.
And do you see to the left side of the screen someone with a phone on?
Yeah.
And can you identify that person as being Ricky Fiola?
Not from this, I can't.
Here we are at frame 28. Do you see the foot of one of those two people to the right side of the screen?
Yeah.
What does that foot appear to be doing to you?
I'm not sure.
It's no longer in contact with the ground, is it?
No.
You see the bottom of the foot?
Yeah.
See that same foot in frame 29?
Yes.
And in frame 30, do you see that foot any longer?
It's really blurry. I can't.
Here we are in frame 40. Do you see those two figures with the light bottoms and the dark tops and the graphic on them? Do you still see them over here towards the right side of the screen?
I just see one.
You only see one. Okay. Here we are in frame 47. Now can you see the two figures again?
Yeah.
And is there a third person that appears to have joined them?
Yeah.
I apologize, Ms. Capela, I do not mean to be tedious. Here we are in frame 63. Do you see one of the two figures with the light bottoms and the dark top over to the right-hand side?
Yeah.
And do you still see on the left-hand side the same person that had the phone out with the light on before?
Yeah.
Can you identify that person as Ricky Fiola?
Again, I can't tell by this.
Understood. We're at frame 63 there. And again, here we are at frame 75. Can you once again see that there are two individuals over here with light bottoms and dark tops in the same area to the right of the screen?
Again, I can only see one.
Okay. Do you see this figure here with a white top
Oh,
and
yes.
a dark bottom to the right of the screen?
Yes.
And do you see to his left a figure with light bottoms and a dark top?
Yeah.
And do you see to that figure's left another figure with dark top and light bottoms?
Yes.
And do you see that the figure we just described appears to be moving to his left?
Yeah.
The other figure appears to be facing more towards the street.
Yeah.
Did you see Ryan Hines that evening?
No.
Never.
I saw him probably when he first got there, like a couple times, but I didn't really talk to him. And then I saw him after he was stabbed when the ambulance got there.
You didn't see him at all during the
No.
night? Do you know what he was wearing that night?
No, not to, I don't remember.
Do you see this figure here in the middle of frame 84 wearing a white top with some sort of multicolored graphic on the back?
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
I don't.
And here we are in frame 90. Can you see to the right of the figure with the black shorts and the green top what appears to be a figure down on the ground?
It's a big blur.
Is that the area where you recall seeing Tyler DeSilva?
I can't even tell where that is.
Here we are in frame 93. Now do you see a figure down on the ground, appears to have one arm over his head and another arm on the ground?
Yeah, I think.
Do you know whether or not that was where Tyler DeSilva was?
Not sure from this.
Well, you've seen this video before, right? Where we got these still frames from.
I think so.
And do you see the figure we just talked about in the middle with the white top and the multicolored design on the back looking towards, is that towards the road?
Yeah.
This is frame 96. Do you see this figure down on the ground now?
Yeah.
Do you know whether or not that's Tyler DeSilva?
I can't tell from that.
Do you see to the right of the screen in frame 96 that there are the figure with the black bottoms and the white top that we saw before?
Yeah.
And do you see that there's another figure in front of him who looks like maybe bent over?
Yeah.
Is that the area towards the road?
I guess. Yeah.
And can you see on the very right of the frame here in frame 106, again, what appears to be light bottoms, light shoes, and a dark top?
I'm sorry, can you point that out again?
To the right here of the screen, do you see light shoes, light bottoms, dark top?
Yes.
Do you see Jimmy McGrath anywhere in this screen?
No, not that I can point out.
You told us he didn't move the entire time.
I said he stood in that area. It was, I wouldn't say he just stood in one spot, but
But he never engaged in any of the fighting.
not that, no.
Not that you recall.
No.
And do you see the figure in the middle with the white top and the multicolored design on the back?
Yeah.
And do you see to that figure's left another figure with light shoes, light bottom, dark top, and some apparent graphic on the back?
Yes.
Here we are in frame 108. Do you see somebody on the ground there wearing light bottom and a light blue top?
Yeah.
Do you know if that's Tyler DeSilva?
I believe so.
You don't see Mr. Valle at this point anywhere, do you?
No.
Do you recall the fight breaking up into essentially two separate groups at any point?
Yeah.
And the fight involving Mr. DeSilva was closer to that tree that you've described, correct?
Correct.
In the bush, right?
Correct.
And the other fight was involving Mr. Valle, right?
Correct.
How many people were fighting Mr. Valle?
I'm not sure.
Was Matthew Lockovich one of them?
I'm not sure.
Was Jimmy McGrath one of them?
No.
Do you see Jimmy McGrath anywhere in this video?
No.
In this frame here, this is frame 124.
No, not that I could point out.
Do you see in frame 24, right in the middle of the screen, a figure wearing light shoes, light bottom, and a dark top?
Yeah.
Is that Jimmy McGrath?
I can't point that out.
Do you see to the right of the frame, again, a figure wearing light shoes, black bottoms, and a white top?
Correct.
Is that what Charlie Connery was wearing that night?
I don't recall what everyone was wearing that night.
Do you see Matthew Lockovich anywhere in this?
No, I don't.
Do you see a person in frame 143 to the left of the screen?
Yeah.
And do you see that person with their phone out and the light on?
Yeah.
Can you identify that as being Ricky Fiola?
I'm not sure.
Do you recall seeing Ricky Fiola that night with his phone out filming anything?
I don't.
In this frame here, frame 157, do you see an individual with their shirt off, darker skin tone, and a dark pair of dark bottoms?
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
I believe that would be face on.
To the right of the screen, do you see somebody wearing light bottoms and a dark top, short sleeve?
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
I'm not sure.
I want you to watch. We're going to start on frame 178. Do you see this figure here with black bottom and green top, who's in the middle of the screen?
Yeah.
What does that person appear to do there to you?
I can't really see.
Do you see the leg, the right leg of that person?
I don't.
You don't see that?
No, I don't.
Here we are in frame 191. Would you agree that the focus of the camera has now panned to the right?
Correct.
And that would be towards Laurel Glen Drive, right?
Yeah.
And do you see figures here on the screen?
Yeah.
You see one figure here to the very left side wearing lighter shoes, light bottom, and a dark top.
Yes.
You see a figure in front of him wearing light shoes, black bottom, and a white top.
Yeah.
Do you see a figure right here wearing white shoes, blue bottom, no top apparently?
Yeah.
Who's that?
I can't tell by this. This is really blurry.
Okay. What was Matthew Lockovich wearing that evening?
I don't recall exactly from my.
And do you see another figure to the right of the screen wearing black pants, long pants, and a white top?
Yeah.
And we forward through, and we get. Do you see two vehicles here in the road?
Yes.
One near the curb,
Yep.
one behind the curb.
Yes.
And stay in frame. You see somebody going towards the vehicle that's further out in the road.
Yeah.
And you've seen this video before, correct?
Yeah.
And you see the figure that's closer to the car reach the car, right?
Yeah.
And then you see somebody come into the frame 226. Do you know who that person is?
I'm not sure.
Did you see the interior light appear to come on in the car there?
Yes.
And this is frame 247. Do you know who that person at the door is?
Nito?
And you would agree the camera has now panned over to where Mr. Valle is at the car.
Yes.
Did you hear Mr. Valle say anything when he was at the car?
No.
And you see Mr. Valle appear to be looking back towards his left, correct?
Right.
And what was going on to his left at that point? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Did you see Tyler De Silva at this point? Not in the video, but when you were standing on the lawn.
Yes, I believe so.
What was happening to Tyler De Silva at that point?
I think he was getting pushed out of the road.
He was getting pushed onto the road. At
Yeah,
this point.
sorry, yeah.
Zoom in on his face here. Cameraman does. And then we see the camera pan back to the left, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And now we are in frame 284. Do you see a figure on the ground?
Yeah.
Is that still Tyler De Silva?
I think so.
He hasn't been pushed into the road yet?
No.
Is that different than your recollection?
Yeah.
And how many figures do you see surrounding him?
Surrounding him?
Yes.
Five.
Do you know who any of those folks are?
I'm not by this, no.
This is frame 286. That's a little clearer, correct?
Yeah.
Can you identify any of those folks?
The one with his shirt off is Alex. The one with the red hat, Michael Samperi. That's really all I could tell.
Okay. But you would agree that there are at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 figures that we can see in that frame other than Mr. De Silva on the ground.
Correct.
And you can identify 2 of those?
Yeah.
Do you see Mr. McGrath anywhere?
No.
Now, we are in frame 307. Do you see on the right-hand side of that frame that there are 2 figures, one with a white top and black bottom, one with what appears to be a lighter bottom and a dark top?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. Can you see 2 figures on the far right-hand side of the frame? While this is going on, what we're seeing here, are you watching Mr. De Silva as he's being attacked?
No.
What are you watching?
I think I was looking at Matt at that point.
You were looking at Matt?
Yeah.
Where was Matt?
I think he was back more, I believe.
When you say back,
Like-
could you show us on the exhibit behind you where Backmore is?
I would just say behind this fight, so I think it was like he was over here more.
Okay, closer to the tree line or closer to the road?
I would say closer to the road.
And here we are in frame 333. You see a figure emerging from the right-hand side of the frame?
Yeah.
He's wearing light shoes, a black bottom, and a white shirt, you'd agree?
Yeah.
You know who that is?
I think that's Charlie Connery.
Charlie Connery?
Yeah.
You told us before he was standing with Jimmy McGrath.
Near him, yeah.
Near him?
Yeah.
And Matthew Lockovich as well, right?
Yeah.
Do you see in frame 345 another figure emerging just behind Charlie Connery?
Yeah.
Who's that?
I have no idea.
Do you see in frame 355 another figure emerging just behind the figure that you could not identify that's following Charlie Connery?
Yeah.
Who's that?
I think that's Matt.
That's Matt Lockovich?
Yeah.
Do you remember him walking with these other 2 individuals?
Walking with them? No. I just remember him walking by, yeah. Like walking that way, sorry.
Would you agree that he's not behind that fight that's going on?
Correct.
And do you see here, in frame 364, a figure emerge just behind Matt Lockovich, the unidentified individual, and Charlie Connery, wearing light bottom, light shoes, and a dark top?
Yeah.
You know who that is?
I believe that would be Jimmy.
Do you see in frame 385 Matthew Lockovich?
Yeah.
And what was Matthew Lockovich doing at this point?
I'm not sure. He kind of just was standing there like that.
Just observing?
Yeah, I think so.
In frame 398, do you know who the individual in the middle is that appears to be pushing someone whose shirt is up over their head?
I can't tell from that.
And do you still see to the right of frame 398 the individual wearing lighter shoes, light bottom, dark top?
Yeah, that'd be Jimmy.
And as we go past now on to frame 409, does that appear to be Jimmy to you?
Yeah.
And you see somebody getting pushed out into the road?
Yeah.
And you see another figure in frame 417 that is now passing as Mr. De Silva gets pushed into the road, do you not?
Correct.
And in frame 427, you see Mr. De Silva's left hand, correct?
Yeah.
Do you see anything in his left hand?
Not that I can tell him that.
And now you see Mr. De Silva go into the road. At frame 457. Mr. De Silva still in the road at frame 479. Do you see Mr. McGrath at this point?
Not in this picture, no.
Do you see Mr. Lockovich at this point?
No.
Do you see any of those other figures that we had seen before?
No.
Where were they at this point?
On the grass?
And what were they doing?
I'm not sure.
Were you still looking at Jimmy McGrath?
I believe so, yes.
Were you looking at Matthew Lockovich?
I believe Matt, yeah, I
What
was.
was Matt doing?
I think he was just watching again.
Where was Michael Samperi at that point?
I have no idea.
Do you know what anybody was doing at that point?
Not that I can recall, no.
Here we are at frame 485. Do you see the light shoes, light bottom, dark top?
Yeah.
And do you know who that is?
Jimmy?
And at this point, do you agree he is not facing Tyler De Silva in the road?
Correct.
And do you see any of the other people from that group?
Not in this picture, no.
And in frame 486, do you still see what you've identified as Jimmy?
Yeah.
And do you see a hand on his lower back?
Yeah.
Do you know whose hand that is?
No, it doesn't even look like a hand.
Can you identify it as a hand now? In
Yeah.
frame 488?
No, I can't.
Can you identify it as a hand now in frame 489?
Appears to be.
Do you know if that's Matthew Lockovich's hand?
I have no idea.
Do you know if Matthew was still standing beside Jimmy at that point?
I believe he was near him at that point, yeah.
And where was Charlie Connery at that point?
Maybe a little bit in front of them.
In front of them?
Yeah, I think so.
And where was Faison Teal at that point?
I'm not sure.
Ryan Hines?
I didn't see Ryan during this.
Tyler Rich?
Not sure.
You see Mr. De Silva still still in the road in frame 489?
Yes.
And do you see in frame 508 Jimmy McGrath?
Yeah.
And do you see any of the other people?
I don't.
Do you recall what any of the other people were doing at that point?
I don't.
Do you recall what Mr. Valle was doing at that point?
I don't.
Could you see Mr. Valle at that point?
Not at this point, no.
Was somebody blocking your view?
No.
Why could you not see Mr. Valle?
I don't remember.
And it's frame 518 now. Do you see Mr. McGrath is no longer in the frame?
Correct.
And now frame 528. Do you see Mr. McGrath or part of Mr. McGrath at the left side of the frame?
Yeah.
Do you recall seeing Mr. Valle at that point?
I think he got closer at that point.
Where was Mr. Connery standing at that point?
I don't remember exactly.
Where was Matthew Lockovich standing at that point?
I'm not sure exactly.
Were they blocking your view?
No.
How do you know that?
Because I remember I had a clear view.
And can you see Mr. McGrath in frame 532?
Yes.
Frame 533?
Yep.
Frame 534?
Yes.
And frame 535?
Yes.
Now, after seeing that, does that in any way change your recollection of seeing Mr. McGrath standing in one area not involved in the fight?
No.
And you would agree that you did see him from time to time there, moving with a group that included Charlie Connery, an unknown person that you couldn't identify for us, Matthew Lockovich, your boyfriend,
Yes.
Jimmy McGrath,
Yes.
and another individual with black pants and a white top that we saw come across the screen that, again, you couldn't identify.
Yes.
Okay. And there were other figures that you couldn't identify as well, right?
Correct.
But you're certain that you had a clear view of seeing what happened between Mr. Valle and Mr. McGrath,
100% yes.
and that it was just the two of them, correct?
Yes.
And you can't tell us where Mr. Connery or Mr. Lockovich were at that point.
No.
You were dating Mr. Lockovich at this time, correct?
Correct.
And you had grown up, you told us, since childhood with Mr. McGrath.
Yeah.
How well did you know Mr. Connery
Pretty well.
and his family?
Yeah.
Tommy? Had you ever been over to their house?
Yeah.
And you didn't call the cops that evening, correct?
I did not.
And you didn't go to talk to the cops, they came to you, correct?
Correct.
And that wasn't until May 23rd, correct?
Yeah.
A little bit more than a week after this all occurred. Had you talked to anybody about what happened that night prior to speaking with the cops?
No.
You hadn't talked to anybody about it?
No.
Not even Matt?
No.
And you wouldn't want to see Jimmy McGrath's memory or reputation damaged in any way, would you?
No.
You wouldn't want to see any harm come to Matthew Lockovich, even though you're not with Matthew Lockovich anymore, correct?
Correct.
And Charlie Connery, you wouldn't want to see any harm come to him, right?
Right.
And you've come here and you've tried to tell us, to the best of your recollection, what you saw that evening, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further. Thank you.
A couple questions, Your Honor. Morning, Taylor. So the defense attorney asked you just moments ago regarding you saw a video, frame by frame, with states withdrawn defense B, where he had asked you on multiple occasions where people were standing. To your recollection, you had some indication of where you saw people, but for the most part, you were not able to indicate where everyone was.
Correct.
From your best recollection, was Jimmy involved at all, from what you can recall that night, in the fight?
No.
When the fight was going on, Taylor, where was Jimmy standing from your vantage point? Where was Jimmy standing where you were?
Diagonal from me.
And the whole time he was standing in that general location, you indicated that he moved around a little bit, but for the most part, was he standing in that general location the
Stayed
entire
in
time?
that same area for majority of the time.
When counsel showed you the frame by frame of defense B, are you able to indicate at all for sure who those individuals were who were wearing a dark shirt and a light bottom?
No, it was dark. You can't even see their faces in those frames.
Do you recall offhand, as you sit here today, if anyone else at the party was wearing dark shirt and light bottoms that night?
No, I wasn't focused on everyone's outfits.
And it's difficult to recall each and every individual, what they were wearing, where they were standing. But from that night, what are you 100% sure you witnessed that night?
I watched the defendant go up to Jimmy and stab Jimmy.
And when you witnessed the defendant go up and stab Jimmy, as you indicated on direct examination, do you recall if anyone else was standing directly next to Jimmy at that point?
No.
Was anyone else, as defense counsel indicated, putting his arm around Jimmy or in close proximity to Jimmy at that point?
Mm-mm.
When the defendant came up to Jimmy, was it a purposeful stabbing?
Yes.
When the defendant came up to Jimmy, was there any hesitation that you saw in him stabbing Jimmy?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Nothing further, Your Honor.